This structure works both for all kinds of music, not just electronic, but also a lot of pop music, rock, pop, indie, you name it. Still kind of does a lot of these what are called divisions. So the first verse can be divided into two parts, right? Even though the verse, if you listen to the vocals, you can really tell it's the verse, but the progression changes from the first half to the second half. Same with the chorus. And often, not only will it be divided like that, but sometimes you'll even have a pre-chorus, which leads up to the chorus, and then a post-chorus, which comes out of the chorus. So like I said, you can get very complicated very fast, but you can see kind of these easier types of divisions here. There's two sections to the verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. Okay. Now in dance music, very often we like, unless it's for a radio mix, we like to include a long intro and a long outro. And the reason for that is in the majority of electronic dance music, DJs that play at clubs that play this type of music like to match their beats together. They like to sync their songs up so that they play at exactly the same tempo. And in order to do that, especially the less skilled you are, usually the more time that you need. And in order to make it marketable, I tend to use an entire minute of intro, an entire minute of outro. And that has been standard for a long time, but the intros and outros are getting shorter now, partly because of technology, maybe partly because of DJs are getting better, or producers are getting lazier. Kind of depends on how you think about it. So basically, I added the intro and the outro, as you can see, at the beginning and the end, and then I made a couple other variations in the structure. One, like I said, it's very common in electronic music to have a breakdown, not to be confused with breakbeat, okay? Breakdown in dance music is where the song takes a break, but the beat itself usually goes away, and usually the hook goes away as well. And so what I use the breakdown for is similar to a bridge type of idea. I kind of tease the chorus, so I write B as in breakdown or bridge, however you want to think about it, and then C, because it's kind of teasing, it's kind of a pre-chorus into the actual chorus. And then, okay, there's the chorus, the two halves of the chorus. I also varied my verse. So if you guys remember, I said there was a point where everything kind of slims down. That is the third variation of the verse there, the V2 double prime, as I have it written there. And that kind of extends the verse again. And then I have chorus 2, and then a final breakdown bridge. And again, I tease the chorus in that bridge, but during that bridge, that last one, I really use a different progression underneath it. And at the very end, which I consider the peak of the song in this remix, I have the verse and the chorus layered on top of each other. So there's verse vocals, chorus vocals, and then the chorus progression is what's really driving that last piece. And then outro at the end. Again, I know it's a little complicated, but when we listen to it, because we're here now at the final result, I want you to, I got my nifty laser pointer here, can follow through with the sections as we go through it. But basically, once I had the arrangement down, one of the last steps in my workflow is really just listening through and making sure that my transitions sound good from section to section, making sure the listener doesn't get bored, making sure there's plenty of variation, and then, of course, adjusting the actual audio engineering of the mix, which I think I ended up with. Including this presentation, I actually saved as a new project when I had the project open. I had 20 versions of it, and that's starting from the very beginning. And I also like to order how I save things so that if I ever want to go back, I can do that. But and then after the final mix, then I also did some mastering. So I was tweaking the overall mix as a whole when all the pieces were kind of put together. And then what we end up with is the final result. So if you guys are ready to hear it, we'll play it in just a second. I'm going to follow along with the structure so you can kind of follow along. For the example, I cut off the intro and the outro. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. Okay, let's hear it.
You can run, but you can't hide. 'Cause one taste is never enough. She says she doesn't really care about money. Well, she's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I never needed anyone like this before, yeah. You can look, but don't touch. 'Cause one taste could tear you apart. She says she just don't wanna be lonely, but she's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I never needed anyone like this before. Love's like a drug for me. 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 You can run, but you can't hide. 'Cause one taste is never enough. She says she doesn't really care about love's like a drug for me. She's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I never needed anyone like love's like a drug for me. Yeah.
So that's kind of where it. Thank you. So there's still a couple other things I wanted to. Here's some kind of pictures of the final. That's kind of just the whole project laid out in samples, and you can see the real solid black lines. That's where the different pieces are. Again, so like I said, I've got one-shot samples for the ride and then like the kick here. But then these right here, hi-hat, snare, and this K here, that signifies to me that's the original breakbeat that I was sampling from. And then I layered these larger one-shots here, the snare and the house kick. And you can just see there's a lot of different tracks here. Got a couple different layers of vocals here, and then a crash and a ride where I kind of arrange those out. So if you want to see that a little bit more zoomed in, that's kind of where you can see the hits laid out there all along. And you guys saw that picture of all the automation. All that automation is hidden right now within the track, but a lot of those tracks have automation within them. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I thought the strengths and weaknesses of this were. I think that I did achieve my goals. Like I really felt it had the rock and the funk vibe. It had the gritty, distorted synths, very baseline focused. I'm trying to remember what my other goals were. It was definitely breakbeat genre. So I was happy that I achieved those goals. It is very complicated, so I don't really get tired of hearing it, like even now, and I've heard this song hundreds of times. And it doesn't bother me. I still like it. And there are a lot of simpler songs that I get tired of if I listen too much, but it seems to me the more complex ones are better for long-term listening. And then also the kick drums preferred my remix over the original. In fact, they didn't release the original. They just released my remix. So I was pretty happy about that. It's been one of my pretty popular tracks. It's got quite a few plays and downloads. Some of the weaknesses, though, I think, is it is pretty complicated remix, especially for dance music, which is a pretty simple thing. So I could see why a lot of people would be turned off, particularly the arrangement is so long and there's so many variations that sometimes DJs really like to cut into the hook of the song and then move on to the next one. And it moves very fast, especially the more talented DJs. We got one in here right now. But also, because it's breakbeat and because it's complicated and because I was really pulling from some of those other influences with the gritty stuff, we are talking about a pretty small market audience here as far as a business venture goes for someone making music, with how specific I got with certain things. And then there's always the debate about dance floor compatibility. Can you dance to this? Yes. Would you be more willing to dance to this than maybe another much groovier song? I don't know. And again, a lot of it comes down to the DJ's taste that's playing, whether it's on the radio or whether it's on the club. So, like I said, it is good for listening. Really, it's good. It's been very useful for me in mixed CDs and on the radio. But it hasn't been as good for me when I've played it on the dance floor as a DJ. I mean, I've had moments where people have been singing along to the track, and I was like, this is crazy. And the whole dance floor was jumping. It was pretty exciting. And then I've also had plenty of times when it didn't go over so well. So often the way I use it now as a DJ is it'll be more towards the beginning of my set, or it's often a good, what I call a closer. That's a last track to play at the end of the night.